Hi there, friends. I'm Vanessa Slack, here with my CrossFit gym sister, Tonya Link. We're coming to you from Firepower Fitness and Wellness, a CrossFit gym community, and you're listening to Sweat and Reflect, an inside-out workout. The purpose of this podcast is to create space for important conversations that aren't about today's program WOD or that grueling 5-minute max burpee workout. Our intention here is to explore conversations about the other stuff, the interior, inside stuff that we're not talking about with our WOD partner, maybe because we aren't sure how to, or maybe how it will be received. As a gym community, we've come to realize we all have real life things happening in our lives outside of the gym. Mental and emotional health stressors related to family life, marriage, raising kids, aging parents, jobs, injury, all of that. A couple of years ago, we introduced a new initiative and we called it Firepower Cares because we do actually care. The mission of Firepower Cares is to provide support and connection by coming alongside our gym members, offering a listening ear, an attitude of acceptance, no judgment, nodding to the old adage, trouble shared is trouble halved. Please know what you're hearing here is not intended to be prescriptive in any way. It's not therapy. Its purpose is to offer support. Maybe something will be heard in one of these podcasts that connects with you in a way that's meaningful and helps you to know you're not alone. Tonya and I bring our curiosity and our authentic selves to these conversations, and we invite you to do the same. We're not just sweat junkies, because life is bigger than the box. Welcome to Sweat and Reflect, an inside-out workout. 3, 2, 1, go. Hey there, friends. I'm Vanessa, and I'm here with...
I'm Tonya.
Tonya, my good buddy here from the gym. And we are so stoked to start this podcast for Firepower Care and Firepower Fitness and Wellness. And before we really get into too much, we want to just talk a little bit about the why and just introduce you and practice ourselves using some of the vocabulary that we are learning around mental health and wellness. How does that sound? Does that make sense, Tonya?
Yes, that makes sense to me.
And so we were talking just before we decided to start recording here about why this has come up as something that's important. And I thought you had some really good things to say about it. Do you want to go for it?
Sure. So we've been having quite a few conversations about the need for mental health and wellness. And obviously, in light of a challenging year that everyone's had,
True.
We want to open the door for some conversation and normalizing some language about what does mental wellness mean and how can we support it, and just, go through some various topics of interest.
Yeah, well said. I want to say a little bit about our Firepower Care initiative because I know we mentioned it in the intro, but it was a couple of years ago now that we decided we were having enough kind of one-on-ones with our friends and gym members about stuff, real life stuff that they were going through that and people, I think, needed just a listening ear. They needed to know they weren't alone.
Exactly. It's a wonderful support system to members to know that we're not just worried about your reps in the gym.
Yeah.
We want everyone to feel supported and feel heard, and that's why we're super excited to start the Firepower Cares division of Firepower.
Yeah. I have to say, too, I am so proud to be part of a community, a CrossFit community that really sees the whole person, I think, I'm 50, top secret. Now it's out there, but I've spent a lot of years so focused on my, what I see in the mirror. And it's getting kind of old, both. Getting focused on it's getting old, and I'm getting old, and there's got to be more, And I feel like that's, again, in that language around this podcast, this idea that life is bigger than the box, and yet this place is such a safe place for so many of us. So I feel like it's a really great place to allow for some of these difficult conversations,
Agree. And I think, when you walk in the gym and you see the welcome home banner, for a lot of people, it is like coming home.
Yeah.
And your home is meant to be your safe place to fall.
Yeah.
Your home is meant to be where you feel the most supported.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, the Firepower Cares Division, we started that long before COVID came on the scene. And I feel like it's probably put it in a bit of a spotlight, but we were well aware of that before COVID hit the scene.
For those other stressors that have come with the COVID life.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. And so let's you and I talk a little about some of those defining terms that we're practicing using, and let's share with our listeners too how we came to know these things. And so in January, our gym owner, Andrea Savard, she and her married partner are co-owners here, but Andrea organized staff training for us, right? With a woman named
Bonnie Skinner.
Yeah, Bonnie Skinner. And she's a fellow CrossFitter actually out of the Sioux and a psychotherapist. And she did this really great training session for us about self-care. And we talked a lot about a few important terms. One is capacity, right? And then we talked about inputs and outputs. And I just think it would be helpful because we're hopefully going to use these terms over the next number of podcasts. Why don't we just try and unpack those terms for each other and for our audience?
Yeah, the terminology that she used to explain, just some concepts around what mental wellness means, it really made so much sense. It was so easy to understand. And I feel like that's why we keep repeating that language, because it makes so much sense in terms of your mental health. So in our conversations where we are repeatedly having, using those terms and talking about issues happening, we're like, man, I wish everybody knew this.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to make sure that everybody knows it.
Yeah. And so let's talk about capacity, because that's my favorite. I feel like we're always saying to each other, I'm at capacity. Is that person at capacity? So I think you have been really delving into this. And so can you try? I know that you're feeling nervous. I can look at you like this is a big responsibility, but you got it. We've talked about capacity here.
Okay. So when we use the term capacity, what we're referring to is how much is appropriate for you to take on. So it's similar to when people use the phrase of you can't pour from an empty cup, and what is taking up that space. So if that space has been filled with your work obligation and your kids, or you're taking care of your parents, or the leg room that you have to continue to take on tasks or responsibilities, or that is what we mean when it gets out of your capacity. And I feel like it makes so much sense when you say I'm at my capacity. I can't take one more I can't take on another task. Like, everyone has a limit to what they're able to do. And especially, again, given the last year, where people were, commuting and taking care of their kids and
the crazy online virtual forever school,
the virtual schooling. And so I there's a lot of people who are getting overwhelmed, and, they're not failing. They feel like they're failing, and they're not failing. They're just at their capacity for certain things.
Yeah. Well done. When I think about myself, I for sure have come in and out of that place of capacity, but I think about how much when I know I have space, really have a zest for life. Like, I feel like alive and excited, and I enjoy engaging with people. But I can think of in the last year, definitely times where I'm like, this is joyless living here. Like, I just don't have any in the tank.
Yeah.
And so I think this would be good, so we can segue into inputs and outputs, because we can say that sometimes a way to make space in our capacity cup is to make sure that we are getting those important inputs we need that, like, I'm going to use the word fill our cup, but we're trying to use this image of making space.
Yeah.
But things that create joy, energy, peace, whatever that is for ourselves. Those things are inputs.
And I think that sometimes things can jump though between inputs and outputs. So in terms of fitness can be an input and make you feel wonderful and energize you for the day. But if you've been up all night with a sick child and you've had a terrible day at work and you've had a terrible commute, it might not be an input for you.
Yeah.
You're at your capacity. It might be too much.
Yeah.
Maybe you would be better just to go home and go for a walk.
Yeah. This radical words, by the way, because in a gym, typically, let's be honest here, trying to encourage people to come in as much as possible, to get their fit on, to really engage with the community. But it sounds like we're kind of revealing that there are times when maybe a tried, trusted, and true input needs a little bit of a shift. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, everyone goes through those phases. It doesn't mean that just because something gave you so much joy, it doesn't mean that it'll never bring you joy again. It just means maybe today I'm overworked and I'm tired and I'm stressed out, and it might not be the day for me to go in and do a super hard workout.
Yeah.
I'd be better off to go home and get some rest and go for a walk around the block.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, when I am feeling rested and energized and I'm really ready to give it my all, as opposed to
empty
drag
tank
myself
and more.
in and the thing is too, you want to feel great when you leave the gym. You don't want to feel like I did a bad job or you're underperforming. It's just so, we put so much pressure on ourselves to perform at the gym, where we just want you to take care of yourself. And if taking care of yourself means that you had to go home and curl up on the sofa and watch Netflix, that's what you had to do. Like, there's no judgment for your self-care. If that was your input for the day and that actually made you feel better, that you needed to shut down for a little while, that's okay. You don't have to be on 10 all the time.
Yeah.
You don't have to just be output, produce results,
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you need something else.
Yeah. But I'm listening to you. It sounds like you would be admitting that there have been times, and I know how strong you are, that you would say, no, you know what? I'm learning that there are times when a workout's not what I need. I actually need something that looks different.
Yeah, that's been a huge shift for me.
Yeah.
Huge shift for me. Where instead of, red line and, I have in my mind, the number or the weight or the number of rounds that I want to do, where I was like, I cannot do one more hard thing today.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to do some reflection and get used to the idea that it might not be the best thing for me to go and do that today.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to turn your brain off and move and sweat and that fills your cup. And like I said, sometimes that stuff jumps between your input and your output. It's like your kids. Anybody with small children will tell you, I love my kids. I do anything for my kids.
Especially when they're sleeping. I love them. Is that bad to say out loud?
If you have a gig, even if you have 2 kids under the age of 5, have you ever taken the extra walk around the car because that's the only minute of peace that you're going to get?
I'm like, how about lock the door to the bathroom and pray to God they can't find the key?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you just need a minute. Yeah.
What's interesting here to me is I want to say that it's rare, maybe never, that I come to the gym and leave with regret, right? And so what we're talking about here is that for you and I both, traditionally, a workout is a game changer. It really changes your mental capacity, maybe your emotional capacity too. And yet, as we reflect more on maybe different ways of, you can use language around coping even, with stress, there are lots of ways. Yeah. And I feel like it almost feels somewhat irresponsible to be suggesting to the public, hey, give up your gym membership. You can do it with a walk around the block. I want to be clear that that's not what we're saying. But I think as we become more reflective, we can be more willing to say, well, there's other ways too that I can get a bit of joy. But I think it's really important also to name that in this space, as much as I love to sweat here, it's the connections here.
Agree.
And so when I've had a tough day, the workout might look really like not something I'm loving, but I'm usually loving the person in the square beside me.
I'd agree. I would say that the space is the comfort.
Yeah.
So you're getting, of course, you're going to get a great workout no matter what you're doing, but you're getting the comfort from being in this space. I mean, we saw that when we had people come back and not being able to be in this space for quite a while.
Yeah, with the lockdowns.
And getting emotional about walking back into the gym because again, it's, for a lot of people, it's their second home. It's their social connection. It's the only place where someone's going to tell them they're doing a great job and they look fantastic, or I missed you so much. Sometimes people don't hear that. And they need to hear it. Yeah,
we all do. Yeah, you're right.
So the workout, of course, I want you to work out and sweat and move your body and be healthy and fit, but I want you to feel supported.
Yeah.
I want you to know that we get it.
Yeah.
We get it. And there's no judgment with, I really can't do that today.
Yeah.
It's like, no problem.
That's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just we're talking about we've talked about capacity and we've talked about input. I think Bonnie said, you can help me review, there's a few things that are very basic inputs that we all need. And I think that's what part of that conversation about capacity was. If you're not getting these 4+1, like those are going to be base level required. So what are those again?
So your base level requirement is food, water, shelter.
Right.
So when you get overwhelmed, that's why you revert into, so the example of, I just want to get home and curl up with a blanket and watch TV, because you will sink to your most basic level as you get more and more overwhelmed.
Yes, right.
So it'll take you right back down to that state. And it doesn't mean there's nothing wrong with you. You're fine. Your body wants you in that state because
take care.
It's trying to take care of you. It's trying to get you to a safe place, because if you're feeling overwhelmed, you just want to feel safe.
Yeah.
So your primal instinct is to go back to that.
Yeah.
As opposed to worrying about, your social calendar or your, as you go up the kind of the pyramid, you get further and further away from the most basic need.
Yes. I noticed in the notes that you took from a recent webinar you went to of Bonnie's, it was about trauma, right?
Yes.
The pyramid that she shared is Maslow's hierarchy. So very traditional understanding of that, we have the basic needs, and as we work up, we have esteem needs, belonging needs, right? And at the top, it's that self-actualization.
Yes. Yeah.
And I loved, by the way, when I recognized that a kind of very old school way of talking about the human needs that Bonnie kind of made come alive. I just like knowing that something I learned years ago is still current enough to be part of today's learning,
Yeah.
That felt good when I was reviewing your notes. That felt good.
Yeah, and I think it's reaffirming to know that there's nothing wrong with you. And it doesn't, you might have a bad day. It doesn't mean you're suffering from trauma, right? There's varying degrees of, I had a bad day, or I'm feeling sad, as opposed to I'm really depressed.
Yes.
Or I've been traumatized by an event. That's a different thing.
Yes.
Right? Because trauma affects your central nervous system.
Right.
It rewires your brain.
Yeah.
That's different than, I've had a bad day and I'm tired and I really need a nap and some extra sleep or whatever. But that's different, than the trauma aspect of it. Where
yes, agreed. Okay, let's change it up for a second and let's just bring some curiosity to what what are your personal inputs? I know we talked about sometimes they can switch to outputs, but on a given time, if you look back and you say, these typically work for me, what do you know what they would be?
Yeah, I would say, at the most basic level, your family, the safety of your home.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say fitness. It is an input, but I do feel like it varies. It has varied between input and output, and I say that because I like the group class fitness. I don't like to work out alone, and I don't like to work out at home.
Yeah.
So for me,
So in other words, COVID was kind of horrible.
was difficult because I know that I would feel better, and I at a primal level, right, where it's like you move your body, you just get out and get some fresh air.
Yeah, changes the brain chemistry.
It changes, but I was missing my group.
Yeah.
I like the group. I like being coached.
Yeah.
I like the people. So that's where that was flip-flopping between an input and an output for me.
Yeah.
Where trying to motivate myself to work it in my basement by myself, I was so filled with dread, and I was kind of doing it because I have to do it, not because I can't wait to go and do this workout. It was more like, my God, I haven't worked out. I have to go do something. Yeah. Especially, when the weather was so awful and we weren't walking 10,000 steps a day because it just wasn't.
Yeah, welcome to Canadian winter, right?
It wasn't welcoming outside either.
Yeah, right.
To walk. So that's where mine it has flipped back and forth.
Yeah. So I hear you saying family, and I understand that like sometimes we also find our family to be an output, but on the best of times, family time is an input for you as well as fitness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to name a third? Like, is there one more? I don't know. Just maybe there's not.
I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult during this time because there's so much that we don't have access to that normally we would have access to. Yeah. So the whole social aspect of, maintaining your friendships and right. I mean, right now it's everything is so limited that you kind of shrink down to work and home.
Yes. Like, I know you're a huge fan of live music.
Absolutely.
And you must be dying to go to a concert.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how many, I'm sitting on tickets that I bought in anticipation of these shows that, get moved out. Yeah. I'm like, can I just go to a show?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's something that would be a huge input.
Yes.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not in the cards right now, right?
I'm listening to you, and my other dream job, of course, would be to be a rock star. It's probably not going to work out, but I have this little side hustle duo singing guitar gig, and I am so sad that for me an input is to perform, and I really like practicing, but really I like to be on stage. If I
Center
can be
of attention.
so bold, a little bit. And so that's an input that I really notice I'm missing. And so for a period of time, even my duo partner, he and I would be rehearsing just to keep it happening. But it just feels like, for what? It's like, really? When are we ever going to get to play again? It just, it's sad.
See, that sounds to me like my reaction of trying to work out in the basement. It's like, I really should go down there, but
there's no sparkle there.
Yeah, there was no sparkle there. I want to see my friends, and I want to, be in the gym. I want to be in that atmosphere. Yeah. So it's funny. It's, even as a coach, as the operations manager, to be like, I don't like to work out by myself.
Yeah, I love that honesty though, Tonya. I think it's great for our community to know that too, that like, well, the coaches love to coach, and then when people aren't here to coach, well, that sucks. Yeah.
Because the whole reason why I started coaching in the first place was because I wanted something in my life where I was doing something for someone else. Yeah. I wanted to do something to help somebody else. Yeah. Like, I don't want to leave this planet and not know that I've helped, I've touched someone,
Yeah.
and that's the whole reason why I started. And I would say that, our coaching staff love to coach.
Yeah.
They love it. That is
That's
an
a big input.
That's
Yeah,
an
that's what I
input
hear.
for us.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah. I think similarly, that's why I am so excited about Firepower Cares, because I actually, shocking, like I love to care for people.
Yeah.
It really matters to me that someone feels like they can be a little bit vulnerable, allow themselves to, really it's a gift to be able, it's a gift to the person who wants to care, that someone would be saying, I could really use someone to come in alongside me here.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I guess in that same way that you're expressing an input around coaching, that would be how I would feel about our care initiative. Yeah.
Well, it's like I said, when someone comes in and they do a workout and someone says, you did a great job. The same way that when you reach out to someone and say, are you okay?
Yeah.
Would you like to have a conversation?
Yeah.
You might be the only person who will offer that.
Yeah.
Especially, if there is a family emergency, if there is any kind of family trauma, people around them might not have the capacity to give that to them.
That's right. Good use of the word.
Right? They might, if they're the caregiver, they're trying to take care of whatever's happening.
Yeah.
So there might not be someone in their circle to turn it back on them and say, are you okay? And do you need anything? And is there anything we can do to help you?
Yes.
And it might be as simple as a conversation.
Yeah.
So that they feel heard. They don't feel like the invisible.
Yeah, totally.
In the background, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, sometimes it's the mom, sometimes it's the dad, sometimes it's the
who knows
oldest sibling. You don't people, family dynamics are all different, right?
Yes.
So just to give that offer to someone and go, hey, I heard you might be having a hard time, and are you okay?
Yeah. And I think what we're saying here too is something I learned last year when I was doing that clinical placement in the hospital. We have such, we always want to do, right? Like, someone's hurting. We're like, what can I do? And I learned last year that the best thing you can do actually is just be with someone. A friend who attends my monthly SoulFit sessions, she said that when her partner died, she had a friend message her and say, I'll sit with you in the dark, and I think, I just got a shiver. That's what we're talking about here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Although I do love to drop off a banana bread, the truth is, the thing is to be able to, can I sit with you in that discomfort, in that sadness? Yeah.
And not to say to someone, well, it'll be okay, and try and look on the bright side, and someone always has it worse than you.
Oh gosh.
It's not about that.
Worst.
That is so undervaluing somebody's experience and somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
I feel like it's far more meaningful for someone to say, this is really hard, eh? Like this is a difficult time for you, and I'm so sorry this happened. Yeah. That means so much more than somebody going, well, try and look on the bright side. Yeah. Like, I don't want to look on the bright side.
That's right. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? And again, this is good learning I had last year. We can't immediately go from pain to like a reframe of positive. Like, it's okay to say you have to sit in that space that hurts and is hard, and I shouldn't say have to sit in it, but it's normal. Yeah, it's normal that takes time.
It does.
You don't flip a switch and go, good, we're good.
Exactly.
The banana bread solved everything.
The banana bread fixed it. I had to take action.
That's right.
Like, sometimes you can't take action. You can't flip a switch and go through the grieving steps. I did I'm doing
all the linear living, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I can't, it's like I'm checking every box and now I'm at forgiveness. Like, it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't work like that. You have to go through it, and you have to give yourself the grace of the time, which I feel like it undervalues someone to, try to give the motivating talk when if they're in a pit of despair, you're making that person feel like a failure.
Yeah.
Instead
it's more
of
isolating.
It's
than
so
helpful.
isolating because it shows me that you don't understand
Yeah.
how hard that is.
Yeah.
Whereas, to your point, to say, I'll just come and sit with you and we don't have to talk about it. And I'm just here, and whatever.
Period.
I'm just here. I'm here
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is such a gift to give to somebody who's going through a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm again so like freaking proud to be at this gym and to even have this like real conversation, There's a lot of BS in the air out there and it just feels good to be real.
Yeah.
And I mean, we should say also, just for fun, like you and I had a good sweaty workout yesterday where I was saying there's no way I would have wanted to do 15 burpees in a minute 7 times if I had been there with you. And so that's great too. But what's also great is that, we can also have this.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things we hope with this podcast is that our friends and maybe people we don't even know who like to get good gym sweaty like we do can know that we understand that like life is bigger than the box.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of why we're doing this. So this is episode 1. This is the Virgin Run. And yeah, I know.
Season 1, episode 1.
That's right. And we keep joking saying that the boss and Barack Obama will soon be calling us, of course. But actually, I just want Bono. All these bees, it's a sign.
We're gonna make a list, and it's going to.
Yeah, we're going to manifest that.
We're going to manifest that. We have to ask the universe.
That's right.
And she's going to give it to us.
That's right.
Yeah,
I like that you use she there.
Of course
good.
I did.
Yeah, of course you did. One day or a couple days after International Women's Day, good call. Now, I know we were being playful about this, but I think we should try. We were talking about sometimes having guests.
Yes.
So we I think our next podcast we intend to have a guest here, and we have prepared a few like what did we say? A few quick fire questions, just fun and not so fun and fun-ish, I like to say, and we're gonna do them together. And the idea is that people are going to I hope be curious enough that they're like, oh, I wonder what that guest is going to say to that question. So I don't know. We could be kidding ourselves. But anyway, I've got them here.
Okay.
And so do you want us both to answer them all? Do you want to just answer them? Do you want to like work at them together?
Let's do it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're starting easy. Let's talk about your favorite workout. So you arrive at the gym, on the whiteboard is what movement do you see? And you're like, I got it.
I have to say, traditionally, my favorite workout is probably Murph.
Okay. Do you want to say more in case someone doesn't remember what that is?
So the Murph workout is the mile run,
the horrible.
It's not horrible. The 100 pull-ups, 200 squats, 300 push-ups. Is that right?
Yeah. And then
you finish it with the mile run, and you have to do it with the weight vest. So my wheelhouse is a long, grinding, dirty workout.
Mm-hmm.
That's my wheelhouse. I would rather do a Murph than a Fran, which is like a sub
quick
5,
and dirty, right? Yeah.
super fast workout.
Yeah.
I'm better at a longer workout, so I would say a Murph would be my favorite. Not that I could pull it off
do it
very
today,
well
that's
right
okay.
now, but
That's okay.
yeah.
And would you say, okay, so then I'm going to ask you when you come in and see, so it's Fran, if you see something that's like 5-minute balls to the wall, God bless, you're like, oh gosh, that's not going to work for me.
Oh gosh, this is going to hurt.
Yeah, going to hurt.
It's going to hurt because you can't settle into Fran.
Right.
You can settle into Murph.
Yeah.
Even 100 pull-ups, like you can have a strategy and settle into that. But Fran is like, you just got to go and you worry about breathing in 5 minutes when you're done.
Yeah.
That is not my wheelhouse.
Yeah. I like that honesty. Well, I would say similarly to you, actually. I wouldn't say Murph, but I'm not afraid to run. That doesn't scare me. And in fact, I would say I spent a lot of years, maybe even now, as a cardio junkie. And so I know that like if it looks like a long grinder, I'm usually good for it because I know that I can kind of hang in and pace it a bit.
I get that.
But I'm really embarrassingly bad to say, maybe on a CrossFit podcast, I'm not great at the bar. And so like if it's snatch, I'm like, I can like, oh my goodness, what can I sub for that? So that's always a bit tricky because I feel like I've been around here long enough that I should have those movements down. But every time I do them, I'm like, can we just review again the mechanics of that? And so that's probably my ego more than anything. It's like, oh, it's embarrassing to have to keep being taught how to do that movement, you know?
But you're here to be coached.
Yeah. True. Oh, fabulous. Good. Thanks for the reminder. No, I'm okay. I'll be okay. Okay, next. Okay, now we talked about this question being something that we would definitely give a heads up to a guest because it could get heavy, and you know which one it is. It's the one of the toughest things you've ever had to endure. So we just want to say out loud, we're not expecting you or I or our guest to go to level 11 here. I like my little reference there. You can decide to go light. It's up to you. And so would you be willing to say something, maybe not your most, but something that's been tough for you to endure?
Oh, I would say one of the toughest things I've ever had to endure was finding out that my sister had breast cancer. That floored me. That took my breath away.
Yeah.
That scared me so much. That was so difficult.
Yeah.
And that's up there on the list.
Yeah.
That is up there.
And what's interesting for me to have you say that is, and that's recent. So, also, you're not quite the cougar-lish 50-year-old that I am, but you're getting up there, which means you've seen a lot.
Yeah.
And so of your whole life of stuff, your sister's cancer, which was recent, is a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Thanks for sharing that.
And you?
Probably most defining for me would be my dad's death in 2010. I say that because up until that time, I had lost both my grandparents, but, this seemed okay. And again, my dad was in his mid-70s, and I've learned from working in grief that it doesn't matter how old someone is. It just rocked my world in a really important way. It got me back to school, helped me kind of get dialed into my studies again. It gave me some direction, and it set me on a path here to be talking about grief and loss, and be working on some of those skills. So, as much as that, interesting thing to look at. That was maybe the hardest thing I've had to do, was work on that grief and that sadness, but it's also been really defining.
Would you say, biggest period of growth?
Yeah, probably. I mean, other than when I was like in my 20s and my academic learning really challenged me, as far as emotional growth, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. Because there's so much sadness, right?
That's the thing, like it's not like you would ever want something
You never
awful
choose
to
that stuff.
happen in order to, when people say, oh, I got sick and now I have this new lease on life and I have so much appreciation, you would never wish to become ill in order to gain that perspective.
Yes.
But sometimes something dramatic has to happen.
Yep.
In order for you, the only way out is through, right? So
Yeah,
in order for you to
totally.
grow and learn, and
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah. I 100%
has to
agree.
come out of a negative experience sometimes.
Yeah. Who chooses pain?
No one.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we choose bad workouts sometimes, but that's a whole different thing.
That's a different category of pain.
That's right. Okay. What feeds your soul? We talked about this a little bit as far as inputs go, but we won't always discuss inputs with a guest. So can you throw one out at me? An input for a soul feeder for you.
A soul feeder for me is definitely going to a show.
Okay.
I am so excited. Actually, so I have tickets to Bikini Kill, which is a band that I did not get into until after they had disbanded.
Okay.
So I don't know how this wasn't my favorite band, but after, making that discovery and realizing I missed that opportunity.
Yeah.
It's like you miss Led Zeppelin, like you missed it.
Yeah.
And then finding out that they were going to get back together and tour, and I was so excited and got my tickets. I was stoked. And of course, COVID hit and ruined that. So the show keeps getting bumped as they're anticipating they are going to come out at some point. So that is one of the things that, you know, when everyone's like, oh, when everything opens and I'm going to go on the cruise and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm like, I'm going to go to the punk show.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to go to this show.
Cool.
So to the point where I kind of want to bring my daughter so that she can have that experience.
Yeah.
I'm very much of the mindset that I want her to see those women and see all the women in the audience and let her have that experience.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Except for Roland might be disappointed. Sorry, Roland.
Sorry,
not
girls'
sorry.
night.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's a girls' night, yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. Okay, let me respond to that myself. Feed my soul. Well, other than singing and music, 'cause that's an easy one for me, but I also, like so many people, love the water. And so if I can be like my favorite place, maybe on the dock at the cottage.
I thought you were going to say on the surfboard.
Well, that would be as part of that time.
Okay.
But I'd say if I'm really more honest, it would be that time in the morning before the family wakes up. And I can find myself outside, just having a little bit of quiet time, usually skinny dip, throw the clothes back on in case the company's getting up and they don't want to see that. And then, you know, sit quietly, do a little meditation, maybe read a bit. You know, before things really happen. Yeah. Then I don't mind driving the boat or going for a wake surf. That's great. But really that's like a really sacred time, you know, that quiet time. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd say that. Okay. Current life's theme song we thought would be kind of fun.
Oh my God.
I don't think I'm not ready for this yet. Are you ready for this? I'm not ready for this.
Oh my gosh. That's a tough one.
Drawing a blank here.
That's a challenging one, yeah.
Well, I'm going to think of a really cheesy one that's not necessarily my theme song, but like coming back after lockdown 2, revealing my age, I'm thinking about the theme song to Welcome Back, Kotter. Welcome back. And like I just feel like, and the more and more people that come in this door, the more comfortable people are getting with returning to the gym. I noticed yesterday when you and I and Andrea were doing a little semi-private WOD there that like people are coming in and Andrea, you know, is just like so excited to see her gym community, her members return, you know, and one by one, you know, people are finding their way back into their safe space, you know, that's good. I'm pleased for that. So yeah, a little cheesy, but how can I help myself? Plus John Travolta. Anyway, sidebar. Okay, last. Now we haven't totally settled on this question. Remember, I was saying to you, how about, do you ever upgrade to poutine? And you said, well, what about we did fries or onion rings? Okay, so do you like fries or onion rings?
Fries, of course.
Fries. Yeah.
Of course.
No,
are you onion rings?
Oh, no, definitely not. But I have to say sweet potato fries. I pay the extra $2.50.
I always pay the extra. Yeah. Agree. Yeah. Yeah, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so there you go. That's our little rapid fire. What do you think? Think those are good questions? Think they work?
I think they're good questions.
I think we have to give people a heads up because that song one, that's an epic fail
one
there.
That was heard, yeah.
All right, so I think we should maybe call that a podcast, call that episode 1. What do you think?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
I think we've saved a bit for another time. Like part of what Bonnie talked to us about was about self-care, but I think we've done some of that in our exploration of inputs.
Well, I think that there's some things that we're going to circle back around to. We are going to be repeating some language so that people know what we're talking about when we refer to capacity and self-care and wellness. And so we'll definitely... We're not going to fit everything in the first episode.
What?
We have lots to talk about. We have so much to talk about.
We do. By the way, a couple times I got to hear a little bit of that Newfie lilt in your voice, which I love. We have to just amp up the animation a little bit or get you mad because then we really get
Yeah,
to hear it, which I
talk
love.
we'll talk about something exciting, and it's really going to come out.
Yeah, I
then.
can't
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah,
Maybe also the occasional F-bomb, I think, might
that might
happen.
slip out as well.
I don't
Yeah.
think it did tonight, though.
No, it didn't.
No.
It didn't. We
You-
don't have to put the warning on this episode.
Not on the first one. That's good. That's good. And I think we were going to, I'm going to leave this to you, a little commercial break here. We're thanking a couple of friends. And
Yeah,
who are we thanking?
we're going to thank our friends at PhysioMed who take care of our bodies. They're so supportive to our community and our athletes. And we also want to give a big thank you to Droby Creative. They take care of all of our social media needs and just do a wonderful job for us.
Yeah, awesome. Props to them. And of course, you guys can't see this because it's an audio podcast, but right here beside us is Jordan. He's our sound engineer, and we're grateful for him too. If you found today's podcast interesting or helpful, please share it with a friend. Screenshot this page, copy the link, maybe take a minute and rate it or review it. If you've got an idea for a podcast, send us an email, care@teamfirepower.com. And we'll meet you here next month for another opportunity to reflect together. Until then, we're hoping you're getting or finding a way to get your regular dose of gym sweat joy. And we're sending you sweaty hugs, wishing you well. Peace out.